Because we are chain breakers, change makers, the called, the chosen, the disruptors, the inheritors, the carriers, or even first gens, not necessarily the first to build, but the first to systematize or give structure to the things that have been passed down through generations. We're used to tearing down systems, but no one teaches you how to tear down the parts of yourself that got you here so that the next version of you can finally take the lead. If you've been questioning how you're supposed to keep going at this pace, you're not the only one. I've received text messages, emails, feedback in the fireside chat last month. It's coming from every direction. There are moments that just don't make sense, where something is so disorienting, you may question your own grounding. And when that moment comes, the worst thing you can do is dismiss it or label it too quickly, because some moments aren't there to be defined, they are there to disrupt you. Today's episode, as we kick off quarter 3, is for the ones who are anchoring others, the ones walking into fires and still leading teams and communities through this current state of affairs. If you were with us for the fireside chat, you'll remember this. Your leadership is evolving, and it's time to recognize the signal that something new is emerging. It's Q3, my friends. We are 6 months in and have 6 months left. That means that what you do now determines what happens in October. I treat this time as I do in preparation for my birthday month every year, and it's a serious necessity. Here's what I've learned. We're not just here to disrupt systems. We also have to learn how to disrupt ourselves, to notice when the pace, the posture, the pattern no longer fits. And not because we're exhausted, or maybe you are exhausted, maybe you are over it. But let's look at it from the frame of evolving. And that evolution will demand decisions your to do list won't account for. I'll tell you this, I planned a vacation at the height of some of the most serious decisions I've had to make. And it was a time when it seemed like everything and everyone appointed and assigned to do things were dropping like flies. I knew I needed to make a declaration and to resist this circular flow of energy that was happening externally. And it was a moment where I said to myself, I'm not available to this. So I pulled back. I reassessed. I let my nervous system catch up with the truth that I'm not supposed to be carrying this like it's normal, because it is not. And so I ask you to ask yourself that question too. Are you carrying things that aren't normal? And I have to go into this because I was sharing with a friend this week. And I said, you've heard the story about Elijah, right? Maybe this is the first time you're hearing the story. If not, then stick with me, right? So, not as the prophet, we won't go into that, not as the miracle worker, but as the man that was under a tree and feeling undone. He fought, he ran, he had a call from heaven, and still he found himself in a moment where his strength was just nowhere to be found. His purpose felt like weight. And in that moment, what did God do? Did he call him to rise up? Did he call him to push through or to press on? He did not. He sent food. He told him to rest. What I pull from that story is even the chosen are allowed to lay down. And so if you're in that moment where rest isn't optional, but it is a requirement, where your body, your mind is screaming to you. I had a conversation over on Empowered Heart to Heart with Rhonda Simmons, Dr. Rhonda Simmons, called Refined by Fire, Turning Burnout into a Blueprint for Success on episode 144. Rhonda was also on my episode 50. And so head over, because we talk a little bit more about burnout over there, but that space meets burnout head on. We went deep into what it really means to actually stop, especially when you're seen as the strong one. And I shared stories there that I have not ever shared on my own podcast. Let me know if you tune into Rhonda over there. But here today, I want us to look forward because what I'm seeing in this moment is something that I'd like to call a coded disruption, right? I've been hearing it from listeners. I've received text messages, I've received emails. I was even in some Zoom conversations this week when people have said, I was listening to this episode, the Built to Move series, and then those that came after it. And I was like, what happened next? And I personally have felt it too, this energetic pull. It's not stress, it's a whole nother level of existence and energetic experience. It's not just a bad week. It's for some, for some of you, it may truly be burnout. And so I'd say to check in with yourself there. But I want to clearly name and acknowledge this difference of what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing from other leaders and other people who are in positions of leadership and positions of decision making, because the old things, the patterns, the pace, the people, this is not something that we just want to power through, right, into the next season. And these things are now incompatible with who you're becoming. You're not breaking down. I would say that you're evolving. And again, that evolution requires space. That's the part that is often skipped. You may make space, but you don't always reestablish identity. You shift structures. You are leading and grooming the next level of leaders in particular industries, but you may not always decide who belongs in the next build for you. And you might be saying, okay, Felicia, if we are evolving, then what are we evolving to? Because this does not feel like evolvement. I was listening to something this week and they said something to the effect that, does the seed want to be buried in the ground? Does the seed want to be in darkness? Does the butterfly want to go into the cocoon? What happens, right? We have to reestablish an identity. We have to reestablish who we are calling in and who we are inviting to go to war with us. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, this is exactly where I am right now, I've created something that goes a bit deeper than today's conversation, and it's called a power page, a strategic briefing that you can return to when you're ready to take action without, second guessing, like, oh, did she say this or did she say that? But inside, you'll get a written breakdown of this system that I'm going to walk you through, plus a private audio extension of today's conversation if you want to stay in this work a little bit longer. But you can go over to media.feliciafordandco.com/move, and you can find the link in the show notes when you're ready. But before you can reestablish that identity, my friend, there is a process of giving yourself permission to form it without the rot, without the stagnation of what is old. And I call this framework simply disrupt the loop. Okay. And there are three parts of this: rest, recalibration, and alignment. Remember, you are evolving, and now is the time to move like it. I'll see you next time, my friends. Hey, Changemaker, real quick before you go, if today's episode helped you in some way, the best way to thank me is to head over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the channel, and leave a review. I'd also love to connect with you over on social. You can find me at Friends Call Me Fee. Until next time, keep changing the game.